Hello, everyone. My name is Parker Gaunt. I'm going to be giving my presentation today on the Trump administration tariffs and how we analyze executive governance through the public administration pillars that we learned through this class. So let's get right into it. So the first pillar that I chose to talk about was accountability. Who gives the president authority to do this? Who's responsible for implementing it? Um, Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act and Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974 allow the executive branch to implement tariffs if they deem them a national security threat. Now, this was particularly used by the Trump administration for things like steel, aluminum. The Biden administration actually used this for like washing machines and electric cars. That's why we don't have any China brand electric cars here. We only have Teslas and Fords, and Rivians. So they're the ones who implement it, right? Who is in charge of actually making sure that these tariffs go into effect, right? So we have agencies like the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative. We have U.S. Customs and Border Protection. They're responsible for this, right? And a couple different agencies. But the issue with this, right? Now, we talked about in this class, when you govern through public administration, it's easy. It's easier when you have empirical goals, right? We're going to do this to hit this goal. Now, there were kind of widespread stated goals, right? We're going to protect our domestic industries. We're going to reduce the trade deficit. We're going to improve trade deals. Great. To what end, right? That wasn't really given, right? There's no clear empirical goal that was given by the Trump administration about kind of what the end game was for this. It was really just, we're going to do this. We're going to protect our country. And as you can see in the graphic that my head's covering, there was a lot of retaliatory tariffs, right? Which we're going to talk about in our next pillar, which is effectiveness. So effectiveness, the second pillar that I chose to talk about. In public administration, how effective is your legislation? The policy that you're putting into place, is it doing what you're saying it's going to be doing, right? So they talked about protecting domestic industry, reducing trade deficits, reducing the national debt, right? The problem, none of that really happened, right? So, obviously foreign governments immediately impose retaliatory tariffs, right? And research from the Peterson Institute found that most of the tariff cost is not going to the other countries, right? They're going to U.S. consumers, which contradicts the claim that the administration was given, right? They were saying, we're going to make so much money from all these other countries. No, you're making money on constituents, right? You're making on basically a tax that people are paying for, right? So this creates a lot of economic uncertainty, right? And you can see right here in the graph, the stock market just on what they called Liberation Day, right? And that was a massive issue. There's a lot of uncertainty. Now you have U.S. manufacturers that don't really know where they're going to get their product, how much they're going to have to pay for their product. Stock prices fluctuate rapidly, and it discourages investment within the country, right? In terms of effectiveness, they weren't very effective at all. But the next pillar we got to go to is talking about equity. So equity, how fair is the delivery and the impact of public policy and services, right? According to the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, lower income households are the ones that are particularly affected by this, right? They're the ones who are buying things at the grocery store, and those are the things that are most vulnerable to these kinds of tariffs and price increases. The benefits of tariffs really affected particular industries, particularly those with big lobbying budgets, right? So the automotive industry, the steel industry, they were doing great, right? More people were buying them in the U.S. However, that's really concentrated at the top, right? Consumers really broadly absorbed the cost of this, and it created a regressive distributional effect, which really raises questions about equitable governance and distributive justice. So really, the point of this, right, when you assess the Trump administration tariffs through public administration pillars, there's significant tension in controversy in what they're stating that they're going to do versus what's actually happening, right? It was partially effective. It really raised questions about is the public benefiting from this? Is it equitable what's happening? There's a significant concentration of power in the executive branch, which is not what it was designed for. Those two pieces of legislation that were being quoted as this is what I have the authority to do really doesn't. And this entire case really demonstrates kind of the oversight. When executive authority is implementing large scale economic policies, kind of the issues that occur from that. Anyway, I'm going a little bit over. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.